Welcome and greetings. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent and Merciful, we bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. I want to greet the viewing audience with the greeting words of peace, which means peace in Arabic of Assalamu alaikum. I am your co-host tonight, Sister Alicia Starr 4100, and I want to thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Let Us Make Man, where we strive to follow the principles of empowerment, growth, upliftment for our community. And tonight we have a special show that we definitely understand that the time in which we're living in is greatly needed. Before we get started, I would like to introduce my Jock Brother co-host. This evening, I'm going to start with Brother Jackie. How you doing, Brother Jackie?
Good, thank Allah. Hey,
So, Brother Jackie.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, we heard about how the Jock Brothers met. We know that y'all are currently male mentors. We know that y'all are doing great things in the community. So because we have been going through a lot of episodes, I want to tell the viewers something about you that they do not know. So if you want to explain one thing about yourself that you see have been instrumental in this time of the pandemic, what would it be?
Instrumental in this time of the pandemic. Starting my own business. Jumping off the ship of working for our enemy and just really moving out on faith. Really trusting in Allah during this whole process. That's something that the people didn't know. So
That's
I've been
amazing.
in Allah. Thank you. Thank you for that question. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, brother.
Yes,
Next,
ma'am.
we're gonna go to Brother Kawi. So, yes, Brother Kawi, how are you sustaining yourself? What's different about you that's been going on that you want the viewers to know in this pandemic?
What's different about me? It's not much different about me, but what I haven't been enjoying during the pandemic is my brothers. Just the everyday ups and downs of trying to operate a podcast. It kind of like forces us to give up a little bit of ourselves for the good of the whole. And that, so growth has been the greatest benefit of this pandemic for me.
Thank you, my brother. Brother Ahmed. How did you develop, or what has been different for you in this pandemic that you would like to share?
Wow, so much. Just basically locking in, sheltering in. I've, opened the books. I've obtained a degree. I've obtained a degree in computer networking. I've also obtained a insurance license in life and health and PNC, my PNC license and my health license.
So for all the people that don't know what PNC Bank means, we think you work. Are you working for the bank, Brother Ahmed? Are you working for the bank?
Property and casualty.
Okay, yeah. These are great accomplishments because
I also started.
Oh, there's more. Yeah. There's more. Yeah.
I also started my own business as well. So.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing. Right. Because as we tackle into our subject tonight, dealing with the instabilities during the new spike and pandemic, we just want the viewers to know that there is a lot of resources, there's coping mechanisms, and there's things that you could do to sustain yourself and create a sense of balance. And that's why we have our co-host our co-guest that's going to be on tonight dealing with some action plans. There's a lot of books out there. There's a lot of podcasts. There's a lot of examples, but we want to give you something tonight that you actually can use to help yourself cope. From family to financial to friends to loss to grief. We want to show you some things that you can do while you're in the house by yourself. So we're going to bring up Kawi so he can introduce our first guest, Brother Anthony X. So Kawi, can you go ahead, please? Thank you. You're on mute.
Before I introduce my brother, let me just get a quick thank you to all the viewers that's currently supporting Job Brothers. We thank you so much each and every week for tuning in and supporting your brothers as we strive to get through this pandemic. Not only that we strive to help our people become better people with the vast array of knowledge that we have flowing around with the nation. So we thank you for that. Also, we would like for you to support the Job Brothers platform. For those that has given already to the Job Brothers platform, we thank you for that. There's no modern words I can use to express our gratitude for the donations that you've already given to us. If I can call each and every one of your names, and we had the time for that, I would absolutely do it. But so I'd like to thank you for those that have donated to the Job Brothers platform, and please continue to donate to the Job Brothers platform, because if you have followed us for any length of time, you'll see that's nothing but improvement that has been taking place among us. And so we thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, on to the show. Now let's I want to get off with my brother. I want you to know that he is a licensed clinical health counselor in the state of North Carolina, and he's been serving in this field for over 20 years. He deals with most mental health issues, such as like relationships, trauma, anger management, stress, parenting concerns, anxiety, depression, and he deals with these issues from a holistic perspective. I want you to know what I like most about my brother is I think he got his podcast debut on the Jock Brothers. Matter of fact,
Yes,
he
sir.
got so much exposure from us that he was asked to be on a panel for Savior's Day. He was up there with the big boys. With no further ado, I want to introduce you to my brother with his third time on the show, brother Anthony X.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you, thank you, thank you
Josh
for
Brothers,
that
round of applause.
wonderful, wonderful introduction, brother. I appreciate that. Just a point of correction, I'm a licensed clinical mental health counselor. And so I don't want any misrepresentation of who I am and what I do. But thank you, brother, for that beautiful and that warm introduction. I truly appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Praise be to Allah.
So with no further ado, I want to send the moderating duties back to our guest host, our sister that is no stranger to the Jock Brothers in her own right. Matter of fact, if we was to have a Jock sisters, she'll be spearheading that charge. I'm talking about my sister, Alicia Star 4100.
Don't forget the 4100.
And don't forget that I'm the oldest sister. I am the oldest sister. Thank you, Brother Kawhi. Well, most of you have seen Sister Shireen. She's no stranger to the development of our sisters and brothers in the community. She's no stranger to podcasts. She's no stranger to information. She's always somewhere doing something, trying to educate our sisters and our people. So, what can I say about this sister? First of all, this sister has 5 degrees. Okay. So when you want to talk about what she has been doing over the span of time, she's been studying. She's a student. This sister has degrees from psychology to education. She has been working in the school system for 24 years. So that's the level of patience that she has acquired. In addition, she's currently working in the high school. But out of all the titles that she had, the highest title is a sister. This sister is a true sister. When you say it takes a village to raise someone, she's part of my village. She's part of my mentoring system. So she's not just on the show because she's been validated by another system. She's on the show because I am validating her today. She's definitely a part of my team when it comes to empowerment, upliftment, and just spirituality. So without further ado, I want to bring my sister with a true hug and appreciation for coming on the show tonight. and being one of our guest panelists, Sister Shireen Muhammad.
Allah, thank you, thank you, thank you. Praise be to Allah. I thank the Jake brothers and Sister Alicia Starr 4100 for inviting me to the show.
Come on now.
She didn't tell me. She just said, I'm doing a podcast. Can you come on and help me out with this? Oh, sure, sister.
Just like that. I told you it was a sister. I said, I need you, sister. Because this subject right here, it's a lot of people that has uncertainties in this time. And a lot of them are women. A lot of them are women. So we're gonna start with the women tonight, and I'm gonna jump right in with the questioning. And I just want to ask Sister Shireen the first question. And a lot of our sisters are dealing with loneliness because they are single. So the first thing is, what 3 tips would you give a sister if she is home and she just her and the children? There's no man in the house. And sometimes even when there is a man in the house, there's still a fear. There's still levels of anxiety and grief. So if you would give our sisters in the viewing audience 3 tips on some coaching, some coping mechanisms, or an action plan that they could do, what would it be?
Well, number 1 is to be present, to be in present time. To, when you focus on your present reality, it helps you to know what's really going on. Because fear, we know that's false evidence appearing real. So when we are frightened, when COVID first happened and the shutdown first happened, I was afraid. I was feeling like, oh my God, like, okay, what am I going to do? And so the first thing I did is 1, to be present. What's really happening? I'm secure. I'm in a secure environment. I can't say that for every single person that may be listening, but that was my reality. I was secure. So what did I have to be afraid of? Number 1, and I know we hear this a lot, that we have Allah. And of course, whether you say Allah, God, whomever you refer to him as, that higher power, you go to him and you submit your concerns to him. And this is a perfect opportunity for you to affirm what you believe. And so I would certainly say go to prayer. And then, as you're looking at your environment and you go to prayer, you're not just going aimlessly, you going asking for very specific things. And so as you are asking for those things and Allah blesses you with those answers, you move out on them. So you may get the thought, like, I need to call and secure my circle. Who can I depend on in this hour? Who is in need of me in this hour? And you build that circle. So those are the 3 things that I would say. Number 1, be present. Number 2, go to prayer. And I know, prayer is number 1, right? But the first thing is belief. The first pillar is belief, and then it's prayer. So I need to believe, and to believe, I need to know where I am. And so that's what I would say, to be present, pray, and build your circle.
Thank you, Sister Shireen. Brother Anthony, I would pose the same. What action plans, strategies would you give if you had 3 solutions to give to our listening audience on what they could do to be present?
I would definitely agree with what my sister has just relayed. So I want to dovetail off of those things. First, pardon me, I definitely want to say, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his servant and messenger. I think that it's such a multifaceted question, and it has a lot of different layers depending on the circumstances that the individual is in. As Muslim believers following the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad under the leadership of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, we believe that you have to have a foundation of prayer, which is that connection that keeps you locked in and tied into a source that is the true vaccination that's going to really rejuvenate you. So that piece, that part is important. As my sister mentioned as well, your social circles that you are connected to and involved in, who has your ear, is an important aspect of staying grounded as well, because there are just too many gravitational pulls to get redirected into. We want to stay in that orbit that we know is going to be that orbit of security. Those are the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and what has been expanded upon by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And then I would say, along with that, because there's so much information out here right now, and I would probably more so describe it as misinformation, that we want to be careful about um, needing to detox when we need to detox. And what I mean by that, when I say it, is sometimes you have to turn off the social media. Sometimes you have to turn off the news. Sometimes you have to turn off those things that are uh, intoxicating to a negative degree, where it doesn't feed you, but it actually breaks you down. So it's more about a detox and a separation from certain information that can be overwhelming, and it can actually break you down and can create inside of you more of a sense of fear, a sense of stress, and a sense of unknowing. You can do what's been called absorb, but not be absorbed. So it's basically how you gauge certain information that's coming into you. The best information that we can absorb is the teachings, your holy Quran, all of the books and the tapes and lectures. I just aged myself when I said tapes. I don't know. But all of that information that you and I know, that is the healthy type of vaccine or inoculation that we can receive during this pestilence from heaven.
I got a question for you, soldiers.
Yes, sir.
All right, so since the
Thank you.
pandemic, I have heard that divorce rates have risen.
Hmm.
I've heard that there have been more fights that's been taking place since the pandemic. Clearly, we as a whole are struggling with the stay at home, the shelter in place, and I'm not talking just from a nation's. I'm talking about from a national perspective.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What are some of the other issues that you're running across in terms of behavior issues, mental health issues, since the pandemic has broke out?
Sure. And excellent question, because it's really about some things that are beginning to become manifest, that some would argue have always been there, right? But when you are in a particular environment that can help uh, manifest or expose certain issues going on, then we have seen um, in mental health circles definitely an increase in anxiety, an increase in depression, an increase in stress. And stress isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's the difficulty in managing stress and how to deal with it when feeling or being overwhelmed. And probably uh, just when I say depression, there's like just general sadness, but there's also an increase in aggressiveness or anger that can sometimes
Right.
manifest itself as well. So it's a lot of those different areas in the spectrum of mental health that are becoming more manifest and that we see a lot more in mental health circles.
Now, so Sister
Um,
Serene, I
Yes,
now,
really want.
yes.
now,
Okay,
well,
go
I'm
ahead.
glad that you went there, because I was reading that studies have shown that 1 out of every 4 people actually deal with stress, anxiety, depression, fear, and isolation already.
Hmm.
The fact that the pandemic came on and it increased, that should have been a normal reaction, correct?
Oh, well, I guess we could look at it, in that aspect. That's definitely one way that your certain environmental circumstances can exacerbate or increase or show a higher rate of all of those types of issues. So you're right and exact, Brother Ahmed, that those types of issues that may have already been prevalent because of the circumstances of the pandemic that created greater isolation, social isolation, physical isolation, emotional isolation for for all of us, depending on one's grounding and foundation and social resources and all of those kinds of things. That is going to allow for some of the negative side, if you will, of those issues to become more pronounced and affect one's uh, interactions with others, but also their own self concept of how they see themselves and their circumstances.
And Shireen, outside of that, Sister Shireen, excuse me, um, as these as these as these stresses are amplified, have you seen that um, those things cause death in certain family units now? That since stress and isolation and all these certain circumstances outside of COVID deaths, do the stress of these disorders cause death as well?
I can say yes to that, and even to affect COVID deaths, because stress has a direct effect on your ability to fight or defend yourself against any any harmful agent. So stress is an absolute factor. And with the onset of COVID and the agendas of our open enemy to herd us into getting a vaccine, as the Honorable Louis Farrakhan has warned us, that everything had been, all the weight
Mm,
of the information that had been given to us had been placed in a place where it excited or incited fear.
mm,
So we were now afraid of, it's like how the AIDS epidemic first came out. It was like this, all this information just bombarded with, information that we were afraid to talk to people, to, touch people, or,
right,
you know,
right.
um, and afraid of our own mortality.
Right.
When you look at the number one cause of death for 2020, the number one cause of death is heart condition. Number two is cancer. Number three was COVID. And it's other comorbidities, because it's actually the comorbidities that are causing the death.
Right.
So when we're given how to eat to live and
Mm,
how to build our immune system,
mhm,
we don't have the billions of dollars behind it to pump it in our faces all day long. How to eat to live, how to eat to live. Every newscaster around the world, just imagine,
Right.
every newscaster
Right.
around the world
mm,
saying, and ladies and gentlemen, today
Right.
we are featuring how to eat to live. Eat one
Right.
meal a day. Build your,
Yes.
take vitamin C, vitamin
mm.
D. Like, if we were hearing that every day, how much faith would we have? How
That's
Right.
right.
high our energy would be? How
Beautiful.
high our tone scale would be?
Come
But
on.
the reason why it's low is because we were already fearful of losing our jobs. It didn't just become because of COVID.
Mm,
People have already been in fear of losing their apartments or losing their livelihoods. And then the pandemic comes along, and now all of a sudden there's this sense of security being given to us with COVID. So now you don't have to pay your rent, you don't have to pay your mortgage, you get unemployment, which is a pacification, a setup for the letdown to say, now we're taking it all away. You got to go back to work. You got to pay your rent, not only your rent for today, but your rent for the past 12, 15, 18, 2 years that you have not, I meant months. I meant to say months, but then adding that up to 2 years that you have not been handling your responsibility. Now you have to handle it, or you have to move, and so what is all of this causing? A panic. So now you get, if you don't take the vaccine, you're going to lose your job. If you don't take the vaccine, we're not going to give you this or that. You can't get your SSI or whatever. So the bottom line is, build your faith. Build your faith. You have to depend on your institutions of spirituality to assist you in building your faith, and not depend on the enemy to give you what you need to survive.
Yes, ma'am. Beautiful. I have a question to you, Sister Shireen. I have here a teenager and a preteen, and I would say that they're pretty much sheltered. They attend Blackstone Academy, which is our school, and home. And when you, by working in a public school, what have you seen? How has this condition affected the young people? What have you seen the effect to the young people, maybe in the high school or wherever you go when you talk to young people? How has it affected them?
Genocide. It's genocide. It's awful. With the it's when our children are home and they are not in good environments, and now they don't have the refuge of school. When schools were shut down, then they are now in those environments. We have mothers and fathers who are prostituting their children. We have mothers and fathers who have their children in danger. I mean, that's just real. So that's the downside of it. The upside of it is we have mothers and fathers who are educating their children. We have mothers and fathers who have started schools, who have joined forces with homeschool educators, and who have decided, I am going to keep my child at home. So, the thing someone mentioned it earlier is, if it was already present, did it just exacerbate what was already there? Yes, it uncovered. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan took the veil off of Satan on July 4th, 2020. So those who haven't seen the criterion, you need to go and see it. And if you've seen it, you need to see it as often as you possibly can. Because I don't care how many times you see it, when it comes to the mouthpiece of Allah, He is going to reveal something different to you that has already been said and recorded. So I encourage all of us to go back and watch the criterion as many times as you possibly can, so that you can get everything that the Messiah, the seal of the prophet, has given to us from Allah. So the reality is when you talk about the state of affairs of our children, it really depends on the home that they were coming from to begin with. Sex trafficking is on the rise, and this is no accident. Drug use and addiction is on the rise. This is no accident. The enemy has access to our children on these electronic devices, and us as parents, we are allowing our children to entertain themselves with the devil. And I don't care where we are or what we are doing, we have to busy ourselves with engaging our children. When they are in our presence, engage them. Don't be satisfied with them being quiet and out of sight and out of mind, and they have these devices in their hands. Because they have a ticking time bomb in their hands. So when you speak about the affairs of our children, they are, it really depends on the home.
Right.
and what you are giving to your children. So by you having your children home and sheltered, be mindful of what they have access to. And then you can't be so hovering over your children where, the term in psychology is referred to as the helicopter parenting, where you are hovering over your children and they never get exposed, because that
Right.
also causes problems. Like if your system never has to defend itself, then it never strengthens its ability to defend itself.
Go
And the
ahead.
same thing happens with children. If they never get exposed to anything where they have to now practice what their parents have been teaching them,
Right.
when it's time for them to be adults and they're just kind of thrown out there, they never had to defend themselves ever before, so their immune system is weak. So we have to expose them, but we have to be mindful. Like what we are taught is to rear our children from behind. We're watching them, we're rearing them, we're in the rear of them as
Mm.
they are
Mm.
going about figuring out what Allah has for them to do. And then we're just guiding, like, no, not this way, too far over here, come back over here. But they have to have that sense of freedom and ability to develop their
Mm.
ability to defend themselves.
Beautiful.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
hope that answers the
Thank you,
question.
sister. Yes, you did. Thank you, sister Shireen.
Allah
Brother Anthony X, you talked about detoxing earlier.
Yes, ma'am.
And because some of our listen audience, they may not be familiar with different type of terms, and you definitely talked about detoxing from
Mm-hmm.
social media and the
Right.
news. But why is that? What if we are detoxing from the social media and the news? What should we be doing on the other side of it?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for the question, sister, and allowing me to clarify. So when you're detoxing, you're eliminating certain negative or harmful things from your system, from your body, and it's not just from a physical standpoint, but it's also from a mental standpoint too. So the detoxing is what you kind of eat, right? What you put into your system, and we know that's just not physical food or substances. So the detoxing, in my example, with respect to social media or the news, is the degree that negative things um, can impact us negatively. For example, when there's so much social media, when there's so much information that, as Sister Shireen had mentioned earlier when she used the example of how to eat to live coming in and affecting us, and that can be healthy and positive. Well, on the opposite end of the scale in the spectrum, we're looking at how the daily news media and social media that we all uh, are exposed to on a regular basis, that has a way of uh, controlling us, really, in a way that we're not even aware. The control that can take place is the more information you get, and the more it enters your mind, and the more you're listening to it over again and over again and over again, and you know what the enemy is pushing is vaccination, 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 vaccination. Whenever you turn on the news, whenever you listen to any social media feed, it's really like um, um, a mafia or gangster type of control, because you don't get a whole lot of information of dissent, right? Of opposition from that mantra of get your vaccination, get your vaccination, get your vaccination, get your vaccination. So the detox is, you need to turn that off. You need to stay
Right.
away from it. Why not feed on something else that is more life-giving? So to the same extent that you're on your social media feed, into your face gramming and insta booking people all the time, all over the place. With all of that happening, In comparison, how much do you listen to Final Call Radio?
That's right.
Right.
In comparison, how much do you read the Holy Quran or the Bible? In comparison, how much do you listen to lectures by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan? How often are you reading literature from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad or the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan? So when you weigh it on a scale, what are you being exposed to? What's indoctrinating you? Because believe me, it is indoctrination when you listen to it enough over and over and over and over again. It's definitely changing your mindset, and it's either instilling you with hope, with greater understanding, a greater tone, right? Or
That's right.
it's something that's potentially enslaving you, and the worst kind of slave is a person who doesn't even know they're a slave, right? So let's be careful of how we, as I mentioned earlier, absorb, but be careful to not be absorbed.
That's
And
right.
that's what I meant by detoxing and being careful of what you eat, right?
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to bounce off that with, I know detoxing from certain things, but setting up routines. So we're locked in now. We have to now set up routines at home. But that was a two-part question, because one of the questions was, when I went to see my doctor, she went over with me a test called the PHQ-9 test,
Yes,
which
sir.
screens for depression and
Yes, sir.
anxiety.
Right.
And I've learned that these tests
What's the name
are
of that
public.
test? What's the name of that test?
PHQ-9. It's a patient health questionnaire.
Was that specifically for your mental health instabilities?
No, it's for everybody.
Oh, okay.
It's for everybody.
Right.
But that's cool, because I was talking to her about anxiety, and she gave me this test, to go over.
Mhm.
But I've learned that these tests are public, that anyone can do it. So when we're talking about being at home with our children and our families, there's a PHQ test, which is a patient health questionnaire, which deals with anxiety and depression. Deals with depression, excuse me. And then there's a GAD-7, the general anxiety disorder test. And then there's a PSQI, which tests you for sleep depression, Pittsburgh Sleep Quality Index. So do you both think that these are things that should be implemented at home with the families? I mean, we can see what our families are doing, but is it proper to test our children and test ourselves in that manner?
Well, if you got tested and you failed, it's a high probability that your children gonna fail. Your children grown with you for the last 24 months.
Oh my
But I'll
God.
let the degree specialist answer the question.
It's not as much Sister Alicia Starr as failing or passing as it is where your score falls within a certain scale or framework that lets the giver of the test know how much anxiety or depression a person may be experiencing at the time they're actually taking that test. So as far as family members giving it to another family member, I'm not sure if that's something that I would recommend, because I think it needs to be given, in my opinion, by someone who understands the nature of the test and how to interpret the answers. But I think it's a useful tool for you to gain information. But I would, in that same vein, have it also looked at and reviewed by a quote unquote professional who understands a little bit more about the nature of those screenings and how they can be interpreted in a effective way.
And the sister just had asked that question too about the parents testing the children, but we all know that they'll probably re-stimulate them, so. But I have another question
I
that
would
came
like
up.
to add to that, sister.
After you finish answering that, Sister Shireen, I want to ask you another question. I got a question.
Okay, yes, ma'am. I would add that, the Honorable Ms. Louis Farrakhan had instructed us to have at least one Dianetic auditor in the home. And with that, a Dianetic auditor is trained to read or I'm going to use the word read right now, the tone scale of those in the home. You can measure the tone scale of your household in general, and then individuals in the household, including yourself, to ensure that you are at the highest tone possible to maximize your productivity. So if we did that, we would do that. We would determine, are we at fear? Are we at anger? I heard anger mentioned earlier as one of the items on the continuum of, basically, for Dianetics, it would be referred to as psychosis. So you have below death, you have psychosis, and to know if someone is at a dead-like state, they're not moving. Above that, they're apathetic. They're, I don't care. You hear phrases like, I really don't care anymore. It doesn't matter to me. They're so despondent at that point. Above that, you're dealing with anger. And I'm sorry. Above the apathy is grief, or an intensified grief. And then you have sadness, which is above grieving. And then there's fear, which is above sadness. And it goes all the way up to enthusiasm. And so the goal is to get, and beyond, the goal is to get your home up to enthusiasm. And you can do that by some simple things, by manipulating your environment, putting some fresh flowers in your environment, playing music in your environment, minimizing, the fearful things. Watching, our children love to watch horror movies. I'm not really sure what that's all about, but minimizing that, because that is putting them in a state of fear.
Right.
And so then they're afraid of their own shadow. So lift the tone up in the home. And, I just echo the minister, become a Dianetic auditor. So you can learn all about the tone scale and how to affect it in the way that you bring it up.
Praise be to Allah.
And you know what, Sister Shireen, I had a question that was sent to me by one of the sisters, and you kind of answered it, you and Brother Anthony, because one of the sisters' questions was the children are bored and they're tired of being home. And dealing with the virtual aspects of it, the parents feel like what am I going to do with the children? I'm trying to keep myself and my tone level high. So what would some strategies or interventions or solutions that we could use to help the children who are at home and just like you used the term of umbrella, or just, what can we do?
Beautiful.
Okay, I'm gonna stay with Dianetics, right? So boredom is a good place because it's right there to happy. You get bored. Boredom is right above antagonism, which is right after anger. So when you're angry, you're fighting, you fight, you win the fight, you get bored. Look, you know what? I'm tired. I'm tired of talking about that. I'm bored with that. Right. So now I'm at a crossroad. I'm at the place of, do I want to do something stupid? A lot of times people say, yo, I'm bored. Me too. Yo, let's go do da da da. And it's something negative. Or you say, I'm bored, and you go, you know what? I'm going to go running. Let's take the children to the park. Children like to play. Children like to do things to have fun. Go roller skating. Go ice skating. Go, do a martial arts class. They like to engage in energy and move in their hearts. If you watch a child in their natural state. They're running, skipping, hopping, jumping. Like, keep them moving. Get up off the couch and do something with them.
Right.
And they will be so excited and happy, you know, and then you will be too, because you'll get to push your oxygen through your body and it'll lift your tone up. And next thing you know, you're having a great time. So we don't have to be bored. We can paint, we can draw, we can create. I mean, I see some fabulous things on Facebook of things that parents and children are doing. We Google everything else. Google activities to do with children at 5, at 6, at 10, at 15, at 20. What can you do with a group of 20-year-olds? It's things that you can do that they will be happy, be just engaging with you. This is how children are vulnerable to be snatched, because the snatcher or the taker or those who are engaging in sex trafficking, they don't have a certain face or look. It's not the boogeyman or the hot sauce or the devil on the hot sauce bottle.
Right.
These are everyday next door neighbors who are snatching children.
Right.
Why? Because we don't want to take time to spend with them. And all they do is say things like, "Oh, sweetheart, baby, you know I love you. You know I love you, right?" And then they ask, "Can you just do me a little favor?" And they ask them to do a favor. And they have children courting other children, children luring children into traps.
Right.
So we have to, and they are getting them at young ages, 8, 9, 10, younger.
Right.
So we have to be present, and they're using children even in their teenage years to court other little children. So as adults who have wisdom, we can't be too engaged in the books and studying that we don't get up and put it to action.
Come on.
Brother mentioned the Final Call Radio. I was listening to the Final Call Radio the other day, and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was talking about doing something. We all want to talk. We want to, we want to have this little, I forget the language he used, but basically he said talk. We want to talk about it, and we don't want to do anything. We must get into the business of doing. Our children are bored because they're tired of hearing us talking. They want to see us doing it. Let's be about doing it. Develop a business, put them to work, and watch it grow.
Right.
My grass need to be
my children are I'm passionate about the children.
Right. If you have any viewers out there that have any children, my grass need to be cut so we can put them to work right now, Sister Shireen.
Yes, and we have brothers in the Nation of Islam who have started lawn care businesses prior to the pandemic and after the pandemic or during the pandemic, and they have flourished.
Yeah, brother
so
Ahmed just started
you are doing something with your hands, making something grow.
That's right.
Yeah,
it works.
Right.
And so you see that the clubs are picking up heavy. People going out to the baseball games again, the football games. Clearly being sheltered in has affected people to the point where they feel like, I got to get out of here, and risk being affected by COVID. Can you describe what they may be going through that would just make them just go out there, despite the fact that you see the numbers rising every day with people being affected?
I can answer that.
Yes, go for it.
We are social beings, right?
There you go.
We are social beings, and we love to be around each other.
Right.
And so this platform right here gives us the opportunity to feed those endorphins, those serotonins, all of those hormones in our bodies that give us pleasure, that make us feel pleasured, right? Because we're socializing. I see you, I hear you. The only thing I can't do is physically touch or smell you. But other than that, I'm satisfying something. And at some point, I need to touch, I need to feel, I need to smell, I need to see the whole of you. So that's why people are just eager to get out. Plus, they need to be able to engage in the physical activity, right? But we still have to practice the social distancing. We have to practice the wearing the mask and protecting ourselves, as well as building our immune system. Whatever you do not stay in the house 24/7. Right. You must get sun. You have to get exercise. So again, with the 3 tips, the third one was to build your circle. So you build your circle that now you can be a little bit more comfortable around, even though you still have to practice the decorums of making sure that you're cleaning, disinfecting, sanitizing, building your immune system so that you can handle something coming your way and that your environment is as clean as it possibly can be. But you should not be staying in the house 24/7 locked in the closet, because that's going to make you sick.
Right.
I'm glad you cleared that up, Sister Shireen, because a lot of our viewers think that sheltering in place just means stay in the house, keep the blinds down, close the door. So I'm glad you cleared that up. Thank you.
Mr. Louis Farrakhan gives us the example. He is our example. He is the perfect example. So when he had July 4th, 2020, it was outside. It was at the garden. It was fresh, live flowers and herbs and vegetation all around. He even mentioned the vegetation.
With the mask on.
He mentioned that this was a pestilence from heaven, that Allah is responsible. So we looking around, well, is it Wuhan? Is it China? No, you did not create this. So you cannot solve this. The Honorable Minister Lewis, I'm paraphrasing, that he said in the criterion. But he encouraged us to wear our masks. In fact, he instructed us to wear our mask.
And social
distance. Right.
And
so it was a mandate. It is a mandate, and it has not been lifted, although the enemy has been confused in his instructions to the nation. Pull it off, put it back on. You say, oh no, wait, oh, everybody's dying. No, put it back. You're like, come on, he's confused. At the end of the day, until the minister tells us to take it off, we have it on. But that doesn't mean that we can't engage with each other. We just have to be careful.
Excellent.
Brother.
Beautiful.
Okay, Brother Anthony, I have a question, but did you want to tell?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to chime in and kind of dovetail off of what Sister Shireen mentioned. When you're dealing with people being locked down for so long, when a certain type of restriction or relief is lifted, it's almost like, people lose their mind, right? It's like when your children are on punishment and then you release them from punishment, you see a whole lot of extra from them, right? You see a higher type of energy, a higher type of excitement from after being on quote unquote punishment. A lot of people in the community, the broader community, not necessarily us under the teachings, looked at being quote unquote sheltered in place as a negative. They saw it as being something that was restricting them from doing a lot of the foolishness that they're usually involved in. So you see, as Sister Shireen mentioned, the mask coming down, restaurants being packed, right? People not having any kind of concern of who they're sitting next to, and you don't have a mask, and you're laughing, and you're just, you're kind of spraying those droplets and molecules too, right? When you're doing all this kind of stuff. There was just recently a football game here in North Carolina. It was a college football game, and it was at one of our major stadiums here in North Carolina. 75,000. No masks, right? And you know how stadium seating is like. It's not like they had the seats separated, right? And at any type of sports event, they're serving, their hot dogs and their pretzels and their alcohol. So within the next few weeks, there's going to be some reports that come out that, the football game that took place in North Carolina between Clemson and so became a super spreader. You're going to get that. There's no way that during a pandemic, when you put 75,000 people into a football stadium, that people aren't going to spread something to one
That's
another.
right.
That's just mathematics. That's just simple probability when you do the math, when you do the science. So the part of uh, social distancing and staying masked up, which are the instructions that we've been given, that's just another reason to not get so pulled into the gravitational pull of this world. See, because we can get real comfortable in wanting to go to a restaurant, wanting to go to a sporting event. Well, let's not get it twisted to think that Muslims in the nation don't have certain inclinations to doing certain things that are of this world. Now, a lot of people may not say it, but I'll say it because it's just true.
That's right.
Come
What
on now.
we just have to
Go ahead,
do
tell it, Brother Anthony.
is
Tell it.
stay locked in to the orbit that we know is protection and salvation. It's about choices. And because we have what we look at as free will, we want to be careful about what we're lending our mind, what we're lending our ear, and what we're lending our heart to. Because as Sister mentioned, we're social beings. So we still gravitate towards thriving off of social interaction and healthy relationships. We just wanted to be um, on that spiritual level within the guidelines of what's been given to us. See, because if you go off course off of that Sarat al Mustaqim in Arabic, that straight path,
Right,
Yes,
right,
sir.
once you go off,
Come on now.
you know, will you find your way back?
right.
I don't know. That's a personal question.
That's a good question.
If you go off the path,
Right.
can you find a way back?
Mm.
So we want to be careful of again, I can't stress enough. We want to be careful of what we're lending our ear to. We have to stay physically, emotionally, and spiritually healthy. And some of the things that are important to that are healthy social relationships. What healthier social relationship can you have is with your fellow brother and sister,
Mm.
right? So why not cultivate that versus getting attracted into some other stuff that's designed to give you nothing in the long run? It's like fast food. Tastes good, fills you up, but nutritionally deficient.
Mm.
Doesn't do anything for your health long term, big picture. Yeah.
Thank you, Brother
and
Anthony. But Ahmed, but before we get to you, we have to take a commercial. We have to go to our sponsors. But for all of you viewers that's just coming in, we are trying to give you some ways to help you become stable in this time versus instabilities in areas of physically, spiritually, and emotionally. So we're going to go with Brother Kawhi so we can go ahead and do our sponsorships. Thank you.
Thank you for joining the first half of Let Us Make Man, hosted by the Jock Brothers. The Jock Brothers would like to take this opportunity to thank the following sponsors. Hope equals life. Supreme Waste Removal. Design Systems Communications. DS Green Air Cleaning. Peace Coin. Design Systems Omnipotent Security. For For more information about any of the sponsors, please go to the Jock Brothers website at www.jockbrothers.com. That's www.jockbrothers.com. Be sure to follow the Jock Brothers on all their social media: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Click the subscribe button and don't forget to hit the notification bell to make sure you always are aware of the latest video. You can also get all of your latest events and exclusive content at www.jockbrothers.com. And now get ready for part 2 of Let Us Make Man, hosted by the Jock Brothers.
Thank you and welcome back to our second part of our Let Us Make Man episode. And before we start with Brother Ahmed and his questions, periodically you will see a torchlightcounseling@gmail.com coming across the screen. That is Brother Anthony's contact information. In addition, you will see maximize your potential at agrichild.com, and that is Sister Shireen's information. So if you would like to get in touch with our guest host, then therefore, go right ahead, Brother Ahmed.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I also wanted to mention with the commercial that if you wanted to reach us and be a sponsor on our show, you can reach us at jockbrothersview@gmail.com. jockbrothersview@gmail.com. I know certain of our panels have books that they would like to promote and produce. So it's open.
So Shireen has books.
I know.
Wow. Praise be to
You
God.
the author?
So on the flip side of everybody just getting out, going out to these parties and clubs, the other side is a fear now. And I think I heard someone mention it earlier of avoidance. So there's avoidance behavior that's created now where because of the things that are set up to get us back in line or keep us away from each other to not spread the disease, it's causing that. So my question is the stress from our mental stress, will it last longer than the effects of the physical stress, like the avoidance behavior that's been created?
Good question, Brother Ahmed.
Would you like me to take that, Brother Anthony, or you have it?
Yes, ma'am. You can start, and I will chime in.
The emotional pain lasts far longer than the physical pain in most cases. So the stress, although it can be eradicated with the right interventions. So you can eradicate the emotional stress rather quickly. You know, with the tool Dianetics, you can zap it right on. You can just zap it right on out. Just go over it. And, you know, face it, go over it, pick up all the additional data, you know, is really a lot of us are even fearful of that. You know, just get all the data. You want all your attention in its place. We are born with a certain number of attention units, and those attention units need to be 100% present every time you are present. So the first tip in the very beginning, opening question, was what is the number one tip is to be present, to be in present time. That is the goal. So you are right here where you are, not where you were, you know, before. And if some of your attention is back where you were before at any place in time, then you're not operating in present time with the full amount of attention units. So the whole idea of going back to get all the pain and hurt is so that you can pick up all of your attention units and bring it with you to present time. So to answer that question, will it last longer? It will last as long as you allow your attention to stay in the past.
Very
Praise be
good.
to Allah.
Okay.
Along with Dianetics, should they seek counsel as well? Should they seek, if they don't have access to the Dianetics, should, our listening audience seek counsel from a psychiatrist or things of that nature?
It's helpful. What's helpful is having someone to listen to you. So, when you think about Dianetics, you think about a person who is listening, right? They're listening.
Right.
They're saying, continue, okay, go back over that again. Continue, right? They're listening. Where a lot of times when we're talking, we're kind of talking over each other. We like, I got to get my word out. I got to, and everybody then is like, now you're at each other as opposed to listening, and when we talk about that, it's bringing to mind, I'm not sure if that's going to be a question of if we're going to go into grieving over a lost one, or, particularly death. I would definitely like to share some things with that, because we are dealing with that. And we have to be able to employ the skill, art, or science of listening, so that we can hear what the person is saying. You're listening really for where they are on the tone scale. That helps you to know how to respond to the person, because if you know anything about Dianetics, you can only go but one or two steps above where a person is, or else you're over their head or you're under their feet and they can't reach you, right? So listening is a way to eradicate, so a person can be free to express how they're feeling to the point of boredom, and then they become happy because they get tired of talking about it.
Great advice.
Right?
Beautiful.
Next thing you know,
Beautiful.
There you go.
they're laughing.
I hope y'all was listening to that.
I was.
Go ahead, brother.
But Sister Serena, the way you explained
we were all in session. We were all in session just now.
It's called group Dianetics.
Right.
Yes, that's right.
But Brother Kwawi, were you about to say something?
Yes. So the way you explained it, you almost explained it as if that is the intervention, and not a intervention. And if that's the case, why not like open this up to like anyone or everyone? Why isn't like it's like the foremost, most talked about solution in your opinion?
Why is Dianetics not the foremost talked about solution?
Yeah.
Oh, fear. Fear paralyzes. When we are afraid, we become paralyzed in our movement, in our actions. So, we're afraid. Why? Why are we afraid? Why are we still afraid now that we're a big man? Because we're eating the wrong food. So our brother Anthony has been bringing that up almost every time he spoke. He spoke about eating the wrong foods, paying attention to the wrong things, leaving our attention on the wrong situations that are not benefiting us. So it's like, you taking money out the bank. I liken attention units to like money in the bank. We're all born with a certain amount of money in the bank, with a certain amount of attention in the bank. And we spend our attention paying attention to this and that, frivolous things. as the minister said, majoring in the minors. He was referring to education and majoring in college and minor disciplines that lead you nowhere, like political science and and not majoring in agriculture when he went on his educational tour and he was asking the students agricultural universities, what's your major? Well, how many of you are majoring in agriculture? Like one or two hands went up. Like, this is an agricultural college or university.
That's right.
Right? But we eat every day.
Right.
That's right.
Several times a day.
That's right.
And we are not majoring in what is major in our lives.
Right. That's right.
And so, it's about paying our attention in the places that are going to pay us back. And we start with putting that attention in present time by picking up all the loose ends of attention that's in these painful incidences. So for those of us who are concerned about sitting opposite an auditor, right? We're concerned that auditor is going to know that I'm all jacked up inside. I don't want them to know my business.
Right.
If you sleepy, you look sleepy. You do. At some point, you're gonna start yawning, and everyone's gonna say, "She's sleepy." So you're not hiding. We are not hiding. We are not hiding.
Right.
Those of you who could read, you can see right where I am. You know exactly where I am.
Come on.
And then if you are skillful, you can bring me up to where I belong. That's our job as redeemers.
That's right.
Bring a believer up, make a weak believer strong.
Come on.
That's
We are only as strong as our weakest link.
Come on, my circle.
And that's just real. So whenever we see each other, we should be lifting up. Lord, lift us up where we belong.
Can we sing?
See what you done, Brother Conway?
Come on now.
I don't know, brother.
That's where we want to be.
Come on, sister.
Not holding ridiculous grudges.
Right.
Not being angry with someone for no reason whatsoever or for some dumb reason. There is no reason to maintain anger. It only frustrates yourself.
Right.
That's right.
It keeps you from moving.
Right. That's right.
So you free yourself of that and pick up all of your attention units wherever you can, wherever you find it, wherever you think it may be. Just close your eyes and ask the question, where do I have some attention left? Let me go back and get it. So I can have all my units right now. I want to invest 100% of my attention units in my present. And as I am in present, preparing for my future, I want 100% of my attention units.
Yes, ma'am.
So when we're trying to compare psychology to Dianetics,
right?
I come from psychology.
Right.
I know that. Very well.
Come on.
Okay. Dianetics trumps that.
Right.
On any given day. Any given day. Because you can raise a tone scale so fast using Dianetics, where in psychology and most, if not all practices, there is a long delay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to segue into something you said earlier, and both of you, if you could, because we are running a little out of time, but the death, depression, and suicide. I know you wanted to get into that, so could you really deal with that grieving aspect of how we're dealing with these deaths and our families and friends
and strangers.
Absolutely.
Because they do affect. Yes.
And just one of the things I had wanted to, I guess, add some clarity on when we talk about grief and we talk about loss. It's not always just, first of all, may Allah be pleased with all brothers, sisters, family members who have passed during this pandemic. And the minister has said we look at them as martyrs during
Come
this time,
on.
right?
Yeah.
The grief, the loss that has happened of life isn't always just the physical passing of life, right? It is also a loss of a way of life that we have gotten almost what's a word that I'm trying to find, that we have almost gotten pacified by. We have gotten so pampered by things being a certain kind of way that when we were given instructions about shutting down and not being able to go and do certain things that we were once doing, some people grieved the loss of that, while others looked at that as a blessing
Mm.
because of some things that you were being acclimated towards that was going to help rejuvenate you, and what I would argue is get us back on the right course, when many of us, and I'll include myself in that, had been distracted by these worldly things.
That's
So
right.
in one way, it's a blessing, not that people have transitioned or that we've lost family and friends. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about being awakened to what's been happening and what's going on around us. The whole loss of the physical passing of loved ones, that is the grief and loss we experience. But I am just raising the point that we struggle with the grief and loss of doing things that we have become accustomed to, and the things that maybe we feel did something for us because it felt good or we liked it. But not everything that feels good or everything that we like is good for us, right? So I just wanted to raise that point about the grief and loss aspect of what we are experiencing right now during this pandemic.
Excellent point.
What I would say to that, yes, excellent point. I agree. What I would say to that is, as I mentioned earlier, it's so important to listen.
Yes.
Number one,
Yes.
listening. When a person is grieving,
Mm,
listen.
mm,
Listen with your ears, listen with your heart, listen with your eyes. Sometimes you just look at a person. You ever met a person eye to eye and looked at them and they just start crying? You
Mm.
ever touched a person on the shoulder and they just start crying?
right. Come on.
You
Come on.
don't always have to say anything. I know I talk a lot. My mama said I was born talking, but this is a talk show, right? So because this is
That's
a talk
right. You
show,
got
I'll be
something to
talking.
say. You got something to say.
Yes, but if you ever encounter me in grief,
Mm,
I may not talk.
Mm.
I may listen.
mhm, mhm.
Inshallah. I may just be right there. Just stand there sometimes. Let a person look over at you and know that the comfort of looking at like minds. How do
Right.
you know that my mind is like yours?
Right.
Because I have on purple and my sister has on purple. I have on a headpiece, my sister has on a headpiece. So just her seeing me or me seeing her is enough to know that she has my back. So sometimes that's all we need to do, depending on where the person is. Everyone does not grieve the same. Everyone does not grieve, everyone is not at the same place when the loss happens.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So again, with Dianetics, it talks about, in Science of Survival, it talks about the life force
Mm,
and how you have events that bring your life force up Those are wins, positive things that happen in your life. You know, you get an A on an exam, childbirth, you know, in a good situation, right? Weddings, you know, baby showers, those things like, tend to be like upbeat situations, right? Then you have negative situations, sickness, deaths, disappointments, failed attempts, things like that. Those bring the tone scale down. Your life force is like a spring going up. When you have a lot of things pressing down on the spring, you know, a spring bounces up and down, up and down. Good things, bring it up. Bad things, bring it down. If all you experience is negativity, you're watching negativity on television. You're watching a horrible boy on television. You're watching the news that is reiterating over and over and over. Read.
Gotta detox.
We're supposed to pay attention to the news, but we don't have to watch it.
Right.
Read. Then that way you will read what you choose to read. You get the news, you read it once. You don't need to read it 1,000 times. You don't need to hear it commercial after commercial, the same negativity over and over and over again. Next thing you know, you just slumped in the couch. You just like, you know, half dead because they don't put you to sleep.
That's right.
So you read it, you know what's going on. You know there's fires over here, there's this over here.
Right.
You look for a way to solve a problem. Now you solve a problem that brings your tone scale up. You delivered some bean soup. You delivered some burgers somewhere. You gave somebody the final call. You gave someone a call and let them know you love them. Those things lift the tone scale up. Those are successes. So you look for opportunities to bring the tone scale up. So dealing with someone who is dealing with the loss of life, the loss of a dream, the loss of ideas, the loss of money, the loss of things, the loss of children, right? You be there for them and pay attention in present time and ask, what does this person need right now? And give them what they need right then. But if you don't listen, you have no idea what that person needs. And then you start interjecting, saying things like, well, what you're going to do is go through this. Which you don't know what the person going to do. Don't give them something. Don't give them a narration. Don't write their story for them. Let them act out their life. And you be there and help them get through up the tone scale to enthusiasm, back to winning. Because Allah chose to leave them living. That means they have a job to do. And the other person is no longer here. They've done their job. Now their period is there. Now we can examine their life and look for what they have done and maybe lessons that we can learn. So let's refrain from giving people a story of what they're going to experience, how they're going to experience, because I know exactly what you're going through. No. Listen to where they are. Meet them where they are. Bring them from where they are to enthusiasm.
Come on.
Point blank, period.
Thank you, Sis Shireen. Beautifully put. Beautifully put.
Allahu Akbar.
Go ahead. You about to say something, Brother Ahmed?
No, that was
because I'm listening. I'm being obedient. I'm listening. I don't know what present moment you're in right now. I just want you to know I'm actively listening. Because a lot have been said. So I just want to make sure that this is an exercise. And a lot of viewers think that we are not a part of the process. When our guests come on, we are being educated as ourselves. And a lot of the subjects that the producers of the show pick is the subjects that we need also. We're not exempt from this. That's so as Sister Shireen is speaking and Brother Anthony is speaking, I'm taking notes because I have to heal thyself. I have to heal thy family. I have children. I have parents. I have cousins that I want to bring up. As Sister Shireen talked about the success and wins. And one of the things that she said, and I challenge everybody, one of the things she says is call someone and tell them you love them. It's just something simple as that. And that's an exercise that we can do and put into action because we look at this show is about solutions.
Right.
And when you call someone and tell them that you love them, you are bringing your tone level up and you're bringing the person who's answering the phone It's just simple. Just call somebody and tell them you love them. In addition, something that Brother Anthony said, which was a win, he said detox. Try detoxing from social media and the news and just read. These are solutions. So if you're looking for solutions, we are trying to give you some. These are what Shireen talked about. It's success and wins. What Brother Anthony talked about is how to eat to live. What are you putting in your mouth? What are you putting in your head? There's several shows that are on the YouTube channel for Jock Brothers that you can go back and you can watch. These shows will help raise your tone level. It's information that we are trying to provide to the community.
Right.
So I have a question for you, or Brother Anthony. You can get
for
in there
me.
too.
You said for me?
For Brother Anthony.
Oh,
yes, sir.
So I have somebody that texts me personally. They say you keep referring to the diet. They just come on. So can you explain why the diet is so important to say a counseling session, and why you make that such a point when you start your 3 points?
Yes, sir. And thank you for the question, and thank you for the question from the viewer. Within Nation of Islam theology, we have that was introduced to us by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, which he got from Allah in person, Master Fard Muhammad, was how to eat to live. It primarily focuses on food, physical food that we put into our bodies, which is the best of foods. And you can get these books, How to Eat to Live, book 1 and 2, by going to finalcall.com store. I believe that's correct. But go to the final. Thank you so much. You can go to the Final Call website and find a store tab, click on that, and you can get those books of how to eat to live. But it focuses on a certain type of diet with the primary focus of eating 1 meal a day, but eating the proper foods at the proper time. Now, what also is included in that process that helps with proper thinking, the proper physical acclimation and resetting of the body to its more natural state. It's about the mental food that we digest, because there's a lot of things that bombard us 24/7, particularly in this day and age where we carry around with us our mini computer, right?
That's right.
That we're paying attention to every time we hear a ping, right? And it's something that how to eat to live is the physical food, but it's also the mental food, but it's the spiritual food too, because that's something that affects, your innermost being, your heart. And that's when we started off and we started talking about prayer. We started talking about the healthy connections and relationships that are around us. So eating to live is a direct connection to both improving our immune systems. This is going to protect us during this pandemic. But at the same time, it's also something that is a physical detox that we go through when we fast as Muslims. And so it's multifaceted because what I learned when I was in, as Brother Nuri always says, in the public food system growing up, that you are what you eat. And so when you're taking in certain mental food, is it feeding you or is it breaking you down? When you're taking in certain physical food, is it feeding you or is it breaking you down? Tastes good, sounds good, but what is it doing to us? Right?
Okay, and
I
that's
hope that answered the question.
To the point.
I hope it did. I haven't got a reply back yet. So,
Okay.
Sister
Yes, sir.
Shireen, earlier in the
Yes,
show, you said that you need to have at least one auditor in your home.
I didn't
Okay.
say it. The minister said it.
The minister said it. Okay. Yes. Ma'am.
Yes, the minister said that to us, that we should have at least one auditor. He desired for one auditor in each home.
Okay.
And now we are here. I believe he said that in 2010.
2010. That's right.
Yes. And we are here where that is ever so necessary.
Yes, ma'am.
That's right.
You know, to have an auditor in the home. At least one. Everyone would be the ideal, but at least one.
That's right.
And you know, when we talk about diet, when we talk about you know, one of the things that, in going back to listening, you know, we have to read the final call. If we don't have time to read, or we believe we don't,
Make time.
we can play the, you know, the audio.
Right.
Just press the little speaker and listen to
Martin
the
Day.
final call.
That's right.
Because, you know, in this hour, the enemy is spending all that he has. He in present time. He's spending all his present dollars on making sure that we know about what he's offering.
Right.
He's making it sound as if it's mandatory. It's mandatory. The only thing that's mandatory, you know, you ever heard the term "stay black and die"?
Yes,
Like,
ma'am.
right? So all we have to do is do what Allah has told us to do.
Right.
And the mouthpiece of Allah gave us our instructions. So anything else is contrary. And if we're doubtful, then we have to strengthen our belief. It is the pillars of faith that will purify us. You know, when Allah gives Satan the opportunity, Iblis, the opportunity to be on all four sides of us, he gives him that opportunity. So he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. No sense in being angry with him.
Right.
He's following his instructions.
That's right.
Following ours.
That's right.
We can. And the more we do, the happier we'll be. You know, because then we know that our life and our death is all for Allah. It's all for Allah. If I'm not here after this show, all praises are due to Allah. I pray that I said something that's helpful for you.
That's right.
That's helpful for me, because I'm only speaking what I've been taught. And it is mirroring back to me what I must do. So when we talk about our diet and how to affect our tone scale in this hour, foods that we eat can bring us up or bring us down.
Come on.
Too much sugar is going to bring us down. It's going to give us the instant gratification of a rise. It's a Satan in our lives. It's going to give us the instant gratification. Come on over here, get that chocolate cake. You know that.
Yeah,
then you feel good after you eat that, like, yeah.
Right.
But then about 20 minutes later, you are on the dumps.
Come on.
And
Knocked
don't
out
let
sleep.
you have a little bit of that virus in you now. Now we're talking that you inflaming. You giving COVID something to eat.
Come on.
You know, we are. So we have to be mindful.
Right.
You know, I was feeling some kind of way the other day, and I was like, what is going on? I don't know why I'm feeling this way. And then, well, what happened was,
that's how I started.
I'm gonna give my sister a plug, right? Kay's Coffee, for those who drink coffee. Kay's Coffee, sister Chandra has Kay's Coffee. That's CAIYS. I think I'm spelling it right. CAI.
Tell Chandra we need some money for that plug-in, for that commercial.
No, she doesn't give me anything. She's already giving me the best sisterhood ever. So, anyways, kayscoffee.com. I think it may be even kays.com. Kays.com. She travels around the world to get coffee. and she's a coffee connoisseur. So she has all these different coffees from all over the world. So I'm like, I hate coffee, y'all. Like, I cannot stand it. So I'm thinking, okay, you know what? I'm gonna try to drink me some coffee. I ordered some coffee, not some, plenty, because she has all these little pretty bags, Black Diamond. She calls it Black Diamond, the Save the Day special, all this and that, right? So I put me like 5 bags of coffee.
For somebody who don't like coffee, you gonna try them all.
Because I'm determined. I'm gonna be a coffee drinker, so I can fast better. Because I see the fastest, and I strive to be a faster too. But I want to fast even better. So I'm like, I'm gonna drink me some coffee so I can fast.
Right.
Well, I drank my first cup of coffee about 3 days ago, and I was sick as a dog the next day. So we won't drink coffee. But the bottom line is I am allergic to caffeine. So I should not have coffee. But I thought I'll give it a try. So anyway, my point is what happens is I get inflamed. So I had some berries in the refrigerator. I decide to pluck one and, just pop one. This is a blackberry. And then I pop another. I'm like, oh, this is making me feel really good. I popped a whole container of blackberries. And I felt perfect afterwards. Oh, nearly perfect. It took me a whole day to recover from this coffee. But anyways, I looked up what are the benefits of blackberries. Why is blackberries are anti-inflammatory?
Talk about that, how they eat to live.
Come on, that's what I'm trying to say. So I'm giving the story to make it stick. Not only do I want the coffee drinkers, if you're not allergic to coffee, get you some coffee from K's Coffee, right? Okay, but however,
what a good way.
If you are allergic, don't drink it. But if you should be explained by
consult your physician. Consult your physician,
right? But inflammation, right? You can use natural foods that are anti-inflammatories to what's the word? Inflame. So deflate. I don't know. I'm not a scientist, y'all. I'm just saying.
We'll go with
I was inflamed, and then I took the blackberries, just regular old blackberries from the grocery store, and I felt better. So I mentioned that because these are the kind of things that we want to be aware of as we are in this pandemic.
That's right.
And one of the things that seems to be a commonality with COVID is inflammation.
Right.
So things that would take away the inflammation can be helpful. But we have been given information in the final call. Read the final call. There's a whole article in this week's final call on ivermectin. Do not be fooled by ivermectin being for animals. There is an animal version for veterinarians. Just like there's an animal version of aspirin and ibuprofen or whatever for animals, right? There's food for humans and food for animals. You go to the food section for animals and get you some cat food and dog food, but that's not what we're eating. So there's ivermectin for the animals and there's ivermectin for human beings. And what the enemy is doing is lumping it all together and saying, okay, this is how humans are getting ill from the ivermectin. Right. If the minister gave us ivermectin, hello, it's the mouthpiece of Allah.
And just to make a point of reference, our viewers and our listening audience can go to media.noi.org. Once again, it's media. And brother, somebody will put it across the screen, media.noi.org. And there's a lot of videos and references to what Sister Shireen was talking about. And we thank you for that information, Sister Shireen. That's definitely a way to close the show and for her to summarize, because this is the reason why that this show is in existence, to bring you information. We're not just trying to have another podcast where we're just talking. These are real solutions. This is real information. These are tangible things that you can do in your home. So can somebody put up on the screen the resources that they can go to see about what some of the things that Shireen talked about, even the criterion. She mentioned a criterion. You can go to media.noi.org to get any information. So with that being said, brother, you want to summarize? Want to give us a summary? Oh, there you
Brother
go.
Anthony. Yes, Brother
Yeah,
Anthony.
Brother
Yes,
Anthony.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Brother
That's
Anthony.
it. That's
It looked
okay.
like you were muted, and so
No,
I'm sorry.
not a problem. Not a problem, Sister Alicia Starr, 4100.
Don't forget the
Hey, you're
41.
you got there, Brother Jackie.
I would just say, with everything that all of us have discussed and talked about this evening, there's so much more in addition that can be found with yourselves as the viewers, doing some more investigation, doing some more research. Know that what we have shared this evening is just the tip of the iceberg with the amount of information and resources resources out there dealing with this pestilence from heaven, things you can do to protect yourselves, things you can do for your own physical, mental, emotional, spiritual well-being. When we talk about Dianetics, when we talk about counseling, these are many different tools that you have access to that can help you and loved ones and family members be more healthier, and things that you can tap into to learn more about well-being and wholeness. So I always encourage everyone, start with what is given to you, but also do your own research. So you'll never have it said that, oh, Sister Shireen, Brother Anthony told me this. Well, we're sharing information with you, but also do your own research, because you have a responsibility yourself to be able to learn more about what God has given you as well, that can help you to be the best that you can possibly be. And so I thank the Jock brothers and the producers and the host for this opportunity to be here once again. And I pray that I will continue to have an opportunity to come back more often. And I would like to greet my believing family in the greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum.
Wow.
So, Shireen, you having another brief comment that you would like to say before we close?
Why is it a brief comment? What are you saying?
Listen, that's my sister.
Look, I am a child of the Honorable Miss Lord Farrakhan.
Come on now.
Okay, all praise due to Allah.
Yes.
So anyway, I recap in saying, number one, be present. Be present. So that way you know where you are. You being present, like, where am I? What do I need? What's happening right now? Right? And then deal with the situation as it calls for. If you are lacking in faith, like, I'm starting to disbelieve. I'm starting not to be sure about what's happening. Then strengthen your faith. How do you do that? How did you come to faith in the first place? Right. Go back to the beginning and go over it again.
Right.
And strengthen your faith. Go listen to 1994, 1986. Listen to the beginning tapes. If you need the foundation strengthened, get that. Right? That will help to strengthen you. Pray, of course. It's an affirmation to Allah. It is reminding you that Allah is at the center. He is in charge. Put your mind on Master Father Muhammad when you pray.
Beautiful.
All praises are due to Allah, who appeared in the person of Master Father Muhammad. All praises are due to Allah, who raised up from among us the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. He was Elijah Poole. He was Kareem. He was Elijah Muhammad. He's now Mahdi. Self-guided. Think over that. Then you give Allah the honor and the praise for raising up from among us the best student of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. The best example that we can ever ask for. He has given us everything that we need.
That's right. We got a minister on the show. We're going to have to bring her back.
He's the prophet. He's the Jesus, the crusher of the wicked in our midst. His name is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
That's right.
That's on them three. They have already proven to us what we need to do. So when we begin to get frightened, our knees are weak, we call on their names.
Come on.
We call on Allah in their names. Get on your prayer rug. I guarantee you, your spirit will be lifted.
Absolutely.
If you have to fall asleep on your prayer rug, go to sleep, cry, do whatever you need to do, wherever you are. And then go dancing on your prayer rug. Sometimes you're in a good mood. You want to thank Allah. You want to shout his name. Oh, Allah, all praise is due to Allah. Thank you for bringing me to this moment. You see what I'm saying? That is how you lift your tone up in this hour. This devil don't have nothing on us. He's using everything. He got joints for jab. Like since when he giving away joints for jab? He giving away money. He's giving away alcohol, beer. I mean, what? Lottery tickets. Just more death. Let me give you death for death. He should just call it death for death.
Thank you. I'll tell you.
So we don't follow that. We don't get weak over that. And if we get weak, we don't stay weak. That's why your circle is so important. Because your circle is going to speak truth to falsehood until it knocks out his brain. So if I call my sister Alicia and say, you know what,
that's not my name, no. That's not my name.
She's gonna be like, sis, now I'm coming over right now. We getting it. We gonna get this devil right now.
What about your brothers? What about your brothers?
Well, your brothers got to call on your brothers. Come on.
Exactly. Get your own circle.
We already know. Get
your own circle. Get your own circle. So, brother Ahmed, while you have the mic, go ahead and give me your brief closing remarks.
Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar. Thank you, Shireen. Thank you. That's my circle. That's my circle.
That's our circle.
No.
Praise be to Allah.
Yeah, you're right. Yes, you're right. That's our circle.
Praise be to Allah. I just wanted to thank you both for joining us, and you fed the community. Like Sister said earlier, if we save one, we've done our job.
Praise
so you've spread so much knowledge and wisdom, and we definitely going to have you back to help us in different areas along the way. But you reminded us in working on ourselves during this pandemic, spiritually, physically, mentally, and morally. And that's so important. But I thank you both for that. Thank you.
Praise be to Allah.
Thank you, Brother Ahmed, for your brief closing remarks. Brother Kawi, may we have your brief closing remarks at this time, sir?
I'd like to first thank Brother Anthony and Sister Serene for coming to the show and giving us the knowledge that Allah bless you to have. I already knew what I was going to get from you, Brother Anthony. You're a smooth operator, brother. You just know how to talk about what you talk. You just do what you do.
Oh,
and
praise
that's why we keep bringing you back, brother. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yeah, Georgia too, sister. You're electrifying as far as the way you deliver your message. Couple of things I got from you though. I'm not going to buy that coffee from that sister. that was not cool. If I learn anything when I see that sister in that coffee, I'm
good, sister. You better make sure you buy that coffee.
The coffee you don't use. You got 4 packs.
She has chocolate, nutty.
No, listen.
Nutty, fruity.
Sister Shireen, just send that other coffee to Brother Kyle that you can't drink.
No, I already gave it away.
The ones that she's not going to use.
I gave the coffee away almost the next day.
Okay,
get the coffees and the berries. Get the coffees and the berries.
Yeah, get the berries.
And that's another thing. The blackberries, I'm going to jump on those. So
thank you.
Other than that, everything that y'all said was impactful. I hope the listeners got something from it. And thank you so much for gracing us with your presence. Assalamu alaikum.
Between the two of them, they probably got about 10 degrees right here.
So Shireen got like 9 of them.
The best
You got
degree
that right.
is the class of the
Right.
Nation of Islam.
From the Muhammad
Yes.
University of
Listen,
Islam.
that's the
Yes.
best, and everything gets filtered through that.
That's
Thank
right.
you, Brother
That's right.
Jackie. May we
Yes,
have
ma'am.
your brief comments.
Very brief. I enjoyed both of them. Excellent job, Sister Shireen. Excellent job, Brother Anthony. Thank you all for your wealth of knowledge. Thank you all for sharing. And just to echo what you both said, I spoke with a brother today who he's in the hospital. He's been in the hospital for 10 days. He's in Florida. He's in the hospital with COVID, and his wife is in the hospital with COVID. And what he said to me was, he said, Brother Jackie, the thing that we in the nation are not or must do better at is brotherhood. He just said, I heard from brothers I haven't heard from in 15, 20 years, but
Right.
we wait to these times just to give each other a quick call.
Right.
And that's what he said. Out of everything that we've been given, or every assignment we have, the number one was brotherhood and sisterhood. We bringing people in to make them a part of the brotherhood and the sisterhood. So
That's right.
So that was, I want to just echo what both of you said, and he definitely said that to me today. So, and excellent job from both you and Sister Alicia. You did a wonderful job moderating. Wonderful job.
Yes,
Proud
sir.
of you.
Somebody took my name away. That's not my name. Y'all didn't take my name.
Sister Alicia, 4100.
Thank you, Brother Jackie. Oh, thank you.
Excellent
Thank
job.
you.
Excellent job. So thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
If I could say one more thing,
Briefly, yes, ma'am.
yes, it's real quick.
No. Go
When
ahead. Yes,
someone
ma'am.
is sick, put in their ear the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Absolutely.
That's
And
right.
what we have in the Final Call Radio is
Yes.
absolutely priceless.
Yes.
Because you could just put on the Final Call Radio, put it in their ear. Yeah, I mean, that will lift their spirits. I've seen people become healed after listening to the voice of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Therapeutic.
That's right.
Therapeutic.
That's right.
Well, I
That's
would
right.
definitely thank you. That's definitely therapeutic. I want to just tell all of our listening and viewing audience that next week we'll have a panel of medical health professionals dealing with treatment options and information about the COVID. So one of the things that Sister Shireen mentioned earlier, we don't fear, we prepare. So we have to prepare ourselves and with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding.
That's right.
So please tune in next week at 7:00. And if you miss any parts of this broadcast, you can go back to our YouTube channel at Jock Brothers. Please subscribe to the channel and like it, and go back and listen to some of our previous podcasts. So I want to thank you all for allowing me to co-host the show with my little big brothers, because I'm older than all of them. We established that earlier. And always, Brother Anthony, I've listened to you before, and definitely you're a wealth of knowledge and good guidance that we actually could use. So I appreciate that. Definitely coming from the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, which we are all rooted in. So I thank you for that.
Yes,
Sister Shireen, who is a part of my circle, and I just love this sister. She's such a great example and an inspiration of the kind of MGT that we should be, because she definitely represents sisterhood. So I appreciate her coming on at the last minute when I called her, because we both are so busy. So I appreciate it. Ahmed, Kawi, and Brother Jackie, I appreciate you, brothers, for being honest and sincere. And I appreciate you for being the best of you. Whatever it is, the only thing we can do is be present and be the best of us. So once again, I want to thank you all for, if there's anybody have anything else to say, then we're going to go ahead and close out. So I want to thank you all for watching another episode.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.